Hi, welcome to Self-Discovery Support. Thanks for joining me. In this video, I've pulled a few cards from the Endless Oracle deck and reflected on the message for you today. It's going to be a short one. These are some thoughts that popped up that I've allowed my mind to explore. If anything resonates for you, that's great, but if it doesn't, that is also okay. So I am trying a new format here for my video content, and let's see where we go with this. All right, so we have from the Endless Oracle, I pulled these cards. It's the Dark Figure and the Cohort, and I'm looking at the order in which I've pulled them, and it's really describing a group that surrounds you, that is could be family, friends, friendships, and especially with the cohort, it can be, like your peer group. But with the Dark Figure here, it can also talk about someone whose motives you don't fully understand, and maybe you should be a little bit cautious about this. And if I'm thinking about this, there's a couple stories that we have in the news now or recent past, I should say, of people who have trusted friends, trusted groups, and it turned out that there was this dark figure, in that group. And so I think it's calling on us to think about, sometimes we receive a peer group, we kind of accept them, especially if you're at school. You kind of take on people, and it's kind of assumed, right? We know that role. We know the role of having friends at work, friends at school, friends in your community. But I think this is calling for discernment about who we can trust, who we feel supports us, and also who we may need to look at again. And I think the thing that I would think of is looking at the actions of somebody, looking at the way that they receive us and accept us. So us being authentic, how do they react to that? Also, some of us may tend to, some of us have really a kind of generous heart, and you always think socially, and so sometimes you may do things that, actually, let me say that again, you may receive a reaction to something you've done, or something, what am I trying to say? I'm thinking of people who you have in a group who sometimes, like, the action that you get from them in reaction to what you've done is one that's kind of odd. You find it odd, and that odd feeling, that kind of curiosity of, like, what's happening there, I think it's something you need to pay attention to, because that is actually the intuition and the discernment happening, right? Let's not ignore things, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you call it out in a way that is confrontational, but it's observing, knowing clearly what your boundaries are, of course. And also, the other thing that comes up here is sometimes we may need to be also turning the lens back on ourselves. Are we the dark figure sometimes in our groups? What are our motives in connecting to people and taking on social groups? Because I feel like these two cards tell me a lot about authenticity. So, what is authentic to you? Who is authentic to you? And without encouraging fear as your main emotion, as your main reaction, I want to just ask you to think about that. In your groups, in your connections, Do we truly hold the actions, the reactions of the people we're connected to up to the light? Are we accepting something that may not actually be trustworthy and may not be in our best interest? All right, so this was your thought exploration today. So thanks for listening. What are your thoughts about this issue? If you want to further support the work I'm doing, please do give a thumbs up and subscribe. Take care. All the best.